the trial was a circus in many ways. But unfortunately, it also was an extremely important trial because it was the very first time that these food disparagements were used to try to shut up media coverage of a critical issue. And the trial succeeded in getting the media to stop looking critically at mad cow disease. What's frightening about the food disparagement laws is that they're patently unconstitutional. They're the biggest single threat to free speech and the First Amendment that I've seen in my lifetime.
We actually let corporations have literally the definition of persons under our Constitution, right? None of the animals that we're using have, none of the trees, none of nature doesn't have any standing, but corporations have standing as persons, and many of the protections of persons, including free speech. That's why commercial free speech, if you look at decisions in the last several years of the Supreme Court, they've massively expanded commercial free speech while diminishing our free speech. So here are these persons, these corporations, legal persons now, which is incredible. What a fiction. You know, how crazy is that? If you and I were to go out and cruelly slaughter animals at will, we'd be arrested, right?
In Amarillo, Texas, probably the worst venue in the world, that jury found Oprah, Harpo Production, and myself not liable.
My reaction is that free speech not only lives, it rocks.
All I want to know is, are you guys going to defend me this next time?
Come talk to us.
Yeah, come talk to us first next time. You know, don't rely on Oprah's lawyers. Get some old public interest lawyers involved in this. They'll kick some ass. We won't make settlements. We'll get to the constitutional issue. Absolutely.
I think some of the most eloquent critics of what animal agriculture has become are longtime farmers and ranchers like Howard Lyman. You know, people who grew up farming or milking cows and have been absolutely horrified by how animals have been turned into nothing but mechanical devices that are kept penned up, pumped full of drugs. The only emphasis is on producing animal products as cheaply and quickly as possible.
How about when we see Senator Robert Byrd?
Yeah, that was amazing.
One of the more respected members of the United States Senate, when he stands up on the floor and gives a long, impassioned speech on the way we're treating animals, what does it make you feel like the commitment that you've made in your life?
Well, you know, there's obviously a feeling of vindication.
Mr. President, I've noted in the press recently some stories that greatly concern me. And I believe that the American people are concerned and are becoming increasingly sensitive to the treatment of animals. Reports of cruelty to animals through improper livestock production and slaughter, the inhumane slaughter of animals, have hit a nerve with the American people.
The number of animals killed for food in the United States is slightly in excess of 10 billion this year. Worldwide, the number is somewhere between 45 and 50 billion.
Just try to imagine the perverse plight of a farm animal that's doomed to be slaughtered. A deeply sensitive, intelligent being. A cow, a turkey, a lamb, a pig, for example. One who knows what's about to happen, but it's trapped, cannot escape. Try to envision such a life, if you dare call it that, even for a few moments.
there was Gandhi in my head saying, you can't, what are those dead body parts doing? And at the same time, our dog dies, and I put two and two together. But here I was eating cows and pigs. And so for me, it was putting a face on the meat. Seeing the being who was the steak, the being who was the chop, the being who was the drumstick. There are other beings in the world who are aware of the world and aware of what happens to them. And what happens to them matters to them. It makes a difference to their life from the inside. From the inside, that they have a biography, not merely a biology, that they are somebody, not something. And what happens when you have that awareness is you understand that those beings have no voice. They have no power. They have no constituency among themselves to speak for themselves. And so you understand that if they're to be heard, you must do the speaking for them. But with animal consciousness, you understand that your commitment to the vulnerable extends beyond the human family.
Since September 11th, we've heard a lot of talk about evil, and we tend to have this vision of evil as, fanatically, passionate people who are either religious fanatics or who are crazed, who commit evil deeds, and that's all on our front pages, and these are terrible things. And if anybody has, any of us who've suffered that in our families, we know that this is a terrible thing. But having said that, we tend to ignore the other kind of evil, which I call cold evil. This is not evil done out of passion or out of prejudice or religious fanaticism. These are the cold, institutional, systemic evils that we see, for instance, in factory farming, where billions and billions of animals are treated in an absolutely evil and terrifying way, right? And yet it's systemic. It's hidden from view. No one's passionately stabbing them. It's this system that's evil. For instance, the whole factory farm system. If the average person were to see what's happened to create that meal, it would be a horror film. But you need to create that awareness.
Rural America eats a lot of meat, and we are concerned. But when it comes from a farm fresh beef, such as ours, we are a lot more safer than we are in other parts where it's shipped all over the country. Concerns about killing cattle and that. How else are you going to do it?